Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Today is another Prime Day on Amazon. So I'm so excited to be on here and to talk about the importance of planning. I'm just on here briefly because as a lot of people come to me saying, oh my gosh, you have 15 kids. How do you do it? 10 of them still at home. I would be pulling my hair out. Well, I've tried that. It doesn't end well. So I'm here to say that planning and preparation is one of the keys to be able to keep things in somewhat of an order, right? Now, I think for us to believe that everything works perfectly all the time, it's really kind of insane because so many things happen outside of our control. Whether it's the weather, no pun intended, or something else, people being sick or technology. I mean, how many of us, raise your hand, have been dealing with tech issues, right? Whether you're on a certain platform, you get up and you're maybe a host and the buttons aren't working, people can't hear you, or sometimes you get kicked out of the platform altogether, right? So there's so many things that could happen that are just outside of our control. It's chaos all the time. But the key is how we're able to respond. That's where the power is because there's so much power in being able to do things in real time that make a real difference, right? And so if you plan, you're able to have a method of operation or a way to navigate through the chaos that doesn't leave you stuck and confused and trying to figure out while everything is really hitting the fan at the same time, what's the next best thing to do. So when you plan, you're able to see beyond the chaos that's happening right now. So I wanted to get on here to make some announcements and talk about some things that are going to be happening in the near future because my kids are going back to school August 2nd. Now, for some people, they're like, today is July 12th. Why are we even bringing up back to school? I'm just not ready. Well, one, you can save money if you shop online because it's Amazon Prime Day still. So if you have any kind of school supplies that you want to get for your kids, or maybe they're going off to college, whatever, right? You want to buy some things in bulk, this is the day to do it because you can save. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second thing is time flies. I don't know about you, but I look up and I'm like, wow, it's the weekend. And before I know it, it's Monday, right? So it's like, where did the weekend go? Somebody tell me because I thought I was living in the moment and the moments have gone and it's now Monday and the weekend is over. So this is how fast it goes when you are dealing with back to school. And there's so many things with back to school from, the school supplies. That alone is a challenge to school clothes, right? And so you're thinking, oh, it's just a short break in the summer. My kids can wear what they were wearing before school got out. And, they've grown a foot taller, their feet have gotten bigger, and they can't fit anything. So then you've got the expense of that. So it all comes so quickly. So when we think about having a plan, it's not like we are putting off the inevitable, but we are being prepared for when those things happen. We've got a way to kind of navigate through it. So I call myself the chaos crusher because I think, chaos is the norm. It's the flow, it's the, peace and tranquility that is the unusual, right? Otherwise, we would be dealing with that every day. But that's what we would like to have. So if you choose that you want to be in a peaceful place, then the best thing to do is to plan beyond the chaos so that you can have peace in the midst of chaos. I know it sounds crazy. So I was on a writing circle earlier today and I wrote uh, one of my favorite places or sounds in nature is the beach, right? So seeing the sand rush, with the waves and water on top of it, your feet in it. But one of the things that stood out to me about that scene that I said is that although we can have so much chaos internally, right? We're thinking and, 1,000 thoughts, stressed out. We can go to the beach and we can look out and see the water and feel the sand beneath our toes and in between our toes. And it can really give us this peace and relaxation that is just really, there are no words for, right? It's just, I don't know. It just helps you just kind of go to a happy place or forget about your worries. I don't know which one is, resonates with people, but you can have some calm in the midst of chaos. So, how is that possible? Well, that's going to a physical happy place, maybe the beach, or for some people, it's having a plan so that the chaos doesn't get out of control. And see, if you have a plan, it's kind of like setting a boundary, containing it, right? So if I have a kitchen fire, right, I might have a fire extinguisher or certain things that I do to contain the damage, right? So that it doesn't spill out to where it starts in the kitchen and then it goes into the dining room, the living room, before you know what, the whole house is burned down, right? So when we think about chaos, chaos is something that's out of control, but how do we manage it? How do we keep it in control? So one of those ways is planning, having a plan, because when you're in the midst of the chaos, you're not in the mindset to be thinking logically about planning anything. Okay. So I wanted to say, hey, Mary. Oh, I'm so glad you're on, because this was going to be a shout out to you. Look what Mary sent me. She sent me this journal and she sent me this notebook, and it has a scripture on it. Rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, be constant in prayer. Romans 12:12. And she sent me the best notes inside of it. And if you look at the back, see, good things take time, right? And then if you look at the back here, you are awesome. It's the affirmations. It is so exciting to realize that you are talking to an audience and it's resonating, right? So I just want to say, Mary, you are spoiling me, girl. Okay. I'm getting stickers, I'm getting books. I am so excited about this. I love journals, y'all. I have a journal and, I make up my mind. I'm like, okay, I like these journals. They're my ideas. I'm going to brainstorm. And then I have my notes for the show. See, shout out to Mary Baker, right? So I put my notes in here, what's going on. I meet people, like I have a meet and greet. And I had 2 of them today. I'm writing notes about what they said in the book that's supposed to be the journal. So, needless to say, I can always use paper. And I like when they're this size or this size. Both of them are good because one can stay at my desk and the other one can go in my purse, right? So, I love taking a book with me because I meet people and they say profound things. So I was on this interview earlier today. Let me see. I wrote it down, y'all. Okay. I was in this interview because I'm doing part of the study for webdelics, which is like psychedelic enhancements, I guess is what I'll say. The mushrooms and some of these really, what's the word I want to say? Maybe they're pushing the envelope on some of these things. They're kind of holistic, but a lot of people think it's psychedelic type drugs. So even though they're natural, okay, at the end of the day. So anyway, we had a gentleman that was part of the interviews and the episodes that we were talking about, because we're a panel of just like normal people and we're giving our 2 cents on it. What do we feel about it? Is it good? Is it bad? Whatever. Well, anyway, I was listening to his episode and he was talking about the psychedelics with racism and how it really had an impact on him. So much so, I'm not going to tell you the end of the episode. I'm going to let you listen to it. But he has his thoughts about how it could help racism. But one part that really stood out to me was that he was talking about he was by himself. His family had left. And so he thought, you know what? I'm going to try this. So he said one of the things he thought was really important was cleaning up, right? So you want to clean up. You don't want to have any clutter and stuff like that because that can impact, maybe how you feel about these things or something. So he cleaned up. And then he put it on his peanut butter and jelly sandwich because it says that you should eat it with food or whatever. So he made a sandwich and put it in the sandwich. And so he said he sat down and waited, and in about 15 to 30 minutes, it started to take effect. And he said he just cried for like 3 hours and 45 minutes. I had to write that down, y'all, because I was like, what? And so for him, what he was saying is that he was letting go of abandonment, right? So he just could see these images about um, kids being abandoned or something. And so he said he was crying uncontrollably because he was letting it go, but he was feeling like it was everybody that was abandoned. Like he was having this therapeutic transformation for a lot of people that were dealing with this feeling of abandonment. But he said, they were going through the feelings of being alone, not feeling that people are available to them and everything. And so he said he was crying for the abandonment of generations. And so he said one quote that really stood out. He says, when we're dealing with our ancestors, we're laying them to rest in the ground, but they're still buried in our genes. So, by that is really understanding that a lot of these feelings and traumas are in the genes. So I just thought that was a profound quote. But let me get back to where I was because I'll get off on a tangent with that, y'all, and forget what I was going to say. So when I say about planning, okay, it's important because it helps you to get out of your comfort zone and be comfortable with that, right? So when we're planning and we understand what our end goal is, because when you plan, you get committed to the destination. And so this is what happens when you plan, because you're taking this time, you're investing this energy into this expected end. And so you make a choice then as you're planning if this is really going to happen or not, right? So you have to make that decision and decide. Because if we don't believe it's going to happen, we're not going to plan. We're going to do something like procrastination, and then we're going to feel like, oh, it just wasn't the right time because we weren't intentional and didn't make it the right time. So I had this challenge myself, with going to California here recently. And I had been talking about it for months. I mean, I think my mom and I had planned this trip Christmas time. And it was just getting closer and closer. So many things were happening. But, I didn't really sit down to write down, okay, I'm going to have my tickets by this day. I knew the day that I was supposed to be at the destination, but I didn't take the time out to say, okay, this is the day I'm going to buy the tickets, and this is why. Because when I put things on a calendar, they happen. If I'm just talking, procrastination sets in. Yeah, I know I'm going to do that tomorrow. Case in point, my son, he went with me. It was a birthday gift for him because he turned 15 on July 3rd, and I didn't come back until the 4th. So we were away for his birthday. It was his first time flying. So he is talking about his birthday while we're in California. And so he's like, yeah, so I want to get my permit. Can I get it when I get back? When can I get it? And so I was like, yeah, you can get it when you get back. However, you need to make sure that you are proactive with all the stuff you need, because you've got to have all these forms. And one of the things was a school certificate showing that he was a student, because if you're expelled or anything like that, you're not able to get your permit. So that's a little FYI for you guys. But anyway, so he went through this whole process. We got back on Tuesday, actually on the holiday. And I entrusted him or empowered him the responsibility of seeing what he needed to get done in order for him to get this permit. So he goes, let's go on Saturday, because they're open on Saturday from 9 to 12. I said, okay. And I said, oh, I think you might need a school form. So I don't think we're going to be able to go on Saturday, because I think we were making this plan on like a Friday. I said, you need that form for school. And so why don't we go on Tuesday? Because you need that on from school. The Monday you'll have a chance to get the form and everything. So I'm going on, didn't write it down, okay, but I'm intentional about making sure that he does his thing. And so Tuesday he comes in and he's like, okay, Mom, I'm ready. Can we go and get my permit? And I said, well, did you get that attendance form? So he goes and he tries to print it out, some other kind of infinite campus thing that's showing his grades. And that's not working. Okay. So I said, well, call the school. I'm thinking they're probably not going to be able to get it the same day. Well, they're like, okay, come on in here before 2 today and we'll get it to you, because my other kids, it was like a 24-hour process, but I don't know. They're getting it done. So anyway, I'm like, I have a 2:00 live broadcast. So I'm going to take you before 2. After my broadcast, I'm going to take you to the license branch so you can get your thing done. So he goes in there, he gets the form, we come back, I do my broadcast. After that, I go, it's getting late, and I'm not even sure what time they close. So as we're going to the place, I'm like, did you call him? He's like, no, I thought you checked. I said, this was supposed to be your thing. So we get there. They needed 2 pieces of information to prove that we are residents where we are. So I had to get on there. I'm thinking, oh, well, maybe we got to come back. And they're like, oh, no, you can fax it. You can get on one of these computers and we can do that. So I go and get the forms faxed and everything. So we're waiting and everything. And I'm just thinking this is just going to be a daunting thing, going to the license branch. So they call him. Actually, they skipped over his number. He's like, Mom, I think they skipped over my number. I said, well, go ask the lady. So he went up there. It's $10. He has to do his eye exam, get his picture. And so she's like, hey, you got to take these 2 tests. And so she says, come on back up here when you're done. And so she said, you can't take your cell phone in, no headphones, none of that. So he goes in there. She tells him which computer to get on. And so she said, well, ma'am, I'm getting ready to get off work here in a few minutes, but if he is done after I'm not here, he can go to any person and they can help him. And I said, okay. So I go get, because I've got this paperwork, I got a book, I'm trying to keep myself occupied. I go to sit down. I was there for like 5 minutes and he comes out of the room and I'm like, oh gosh, this is not looking good, because he was only in there for 5 minutes. I mean, surely he can't be done. So I said, what happened? And so he's like, I'm done. And I said, well, did you pass? And he was all excited looking. And he goes, well, let me go check really quick. So he goes back in there for a few minutes, look at his computer. And he's like, yeah. I said, well, go tell the lady. So he goes up there. He comes back with his, now it's a paper copy they give you. And then they mail you your laminated, permit in the mail. He comes back and I'm like, so what happened? He's like, I passed. I was like, what? So I took a picture. I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, 5 minutes, literally. I've had kids that have had to take this thing like 2 and 3 times. And he was there. I didn't even get a chance to really sit down and do anything. I got a book to read and all this other stuff. Nothing. Okay, he's done. So took him out, for a little celebration for that. But I don't know how I got on that. But my point is, I didn't write that down. But my son made it a priority because he reminded me what I told him. So it wasn't his issue if I wrote it down or not, but he knew to be persistent to make sure that it happened. So I did a lot of juggling in my schedule that day. in order to make it happen. But I'm so glad because he's got his permit. I don't have to worry about going back to the license branch, and everything's done. So that's my story about that. Now, one of the things about getting out of your comfort zone is really thinking the more you can initiate that on your own, the better, because life is going to happen. And so if you're in a situation where you're experienced to having life happen, and you're not prepared, you're not going to have this anxiety that you have in the beginning. It's just like learning how to play the piano or any kind of sport, right? The more you do it, the more you could do it if you're blindfolded. You could do it if one hand's behind your back. A lot of these things happen with mastery because you're doing it over and over again. Repetition is key. So it doesn't matter that it's something that you are creating yourself or it is naturally happening. Your brain doesn't know the difference. So the more you are able to flex those muscles, the stronger you're going to be when real chaos sets in. So it's so funny that a lot of people, we have things that happen crazy, like it was a couple weeks ago that maybe it was, no, I'll take this back. I got so many stories, y'all, but let's just go to this one. This is the same son, right, who got his permit. So I have this routine where I take the kids, to school in shifts. So the elementary have to go first, then the high school, and then the middle school. So I go to take my kids to school, my elementary kids, and I come back and I think one of my kids is having a dentist appointment. So the high school kids weren't going, because the one who was in high school was going to the dentist, and my other high schooler was staying home because he wasn't feeling well. So anyway, I go to drop off the elementary school and I'm coming back to get the son to take him to the dentist. And my daughter is running out to the car and I'm like, what the heck is going on? Right. This is the daughter who, she's 22. And so she's working and everything. And I'm like, what is she doing out running to the car this early in the morning? Because she didn't have work that day. And so they come to the car and they're like, there was a snake in the house. And so we're like, what? And so they said, yeah, it was a snake. And I said, oh my goodness, what happened? And she said, well, Joshua went down there and he saw it. And so he got it and got it, got it outside. He killed it inside and got it out of the house. So needless to say, in that type of moment, I was able to be calm because one, I wasn't there when it happened, because our kids will just scream to the mountaintop, when something crazy is going on. We've had scorpions in the house. I mean, it's been crazy. I've been on camera doing interviews and they're screaming in the background and it's a scorpion in the house. So yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But I was able to be calm because one, I'm used to a lot of chaos. I'm used to things really getting out of control, but I've had a lot of practice, right? So when you're able to have chaotic moments, you can breathe and you can really focus on what's the next best thing to do, right? You may not be able to do 10 things, but what's the first thing that you can do that can start the momentum to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing until you get your way out, right? So imagine if you fell in a hole, right? The first thing would be, how can you get out of the hole, right? Assessing where you are and then determining what's going to be your escape route and how you're going to do it. So when we are in this mode of understanding that we can get out of our comfort zone at any time, whether we're doing this or whether it's natural chaos, how do we want to respond and what's going to be our best course of action? Because when you are emotional, you're not thinking rationally. Okay. I know that I would not have been calm to ask those questions if I was in the house and they were running around. Okay. I just would have been like a little nervous myself. So he had already got the snake. He, threw it out and all this stuff because we live out in the country, y'all. But yeah, so I say all that to say is that, a snake is kind of extreme having that in your house. However, what are some of the extreme things that you might have in your life, right? That can come at a moment's notice that you're not aware of. So I wanted to put that out there. It really is a state of mind, right? So it really is, what are we thinking? What are we really attracting ourselves to thinking, right? So I could be very chaotic in the midst of chaos, or I can really start thinking of calm and embodying calm and then acting calm, right? And eventually it's going to be that momentum that's going to change the dynamic. So, Mary says, snake, snake. Oh my goodness. I know it's crazy, y'all. So I'm just glad they took pictures, but I wasn't down there, didn't see it. So yeah. All right. So the other thing is we are at the end of the road for the greatest salesman in the world on LinkedIn. So we are at scroll 10. This is another book that they refer to as the 10 scrolls. And so uh, the last day for this is tomorrow on LinkedIn at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this has really been a great book. We also are studying this on Clubhouse. So we're not towards the end on Clubhouse, but we are on LinkedIn. And so I do this room with Paul, and it's kind of bittersweet. I mean, it's been a great journey. He's 26, I'm 52. Okay. And you would think, what do we have in common? How are we even able to have this conversation around this topic of this book by Ogmandino? But it has been a game changer. We have been able to really impact the lives of a lot of people who have been able to change their mindset. See, this is what this is all about. When we plan, when we focus, we're able to change our mindset, and we're able to focus on the things that are most important in order for us to be successful and accomplish the goals that we're striving for. So join us tomorrow again, the world's greatest salesman, Ogmandino, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on LinkedIn, and it's the audio room. Want to talk about following up with people, right? Because a lot of people, as it gets to be the end of the year, we're getting closer to the holidays. People are really focused on how can they increase profitability? How can they grow their brand? How can they make more money? Getting ready for the holidays. And I want to express the value in following up with people. I have been a part of several projects and collaborations simply from following up. I mean, look at what I received in the mail today, right? Simply from following up. So I met Mary on LinkedIn, and she was very active. We got to know each other. We took our conversation off of LinkedIn. We did Zoom calls. We did master classes. As a result, we still are in communication. And that for me is important because she's not on LinkedIn anymore. She deleted her LinkedIn account. And if I had not taken the time to follow up, I would not be having the conversations that I have with her, or spending the time that I spend with her, because she got off the platform. So when we follow up, it's so important to think about uh, having those lines of communication in different ways so that we can continue to nurture that relationship. So I was on a Zoom call this morning with a lady that I met on LinkedIn, and we decided to do this Zoom call. This is months ago. She was traveling the world, having a self discovery journey. She was in Bali. She was just all over the world, right? And so when we connected through LinkedIn, she was like, here's my calendar. I'm not going to be meeting with people for a couple of months because I am traveling, right? And I'm kind of really compressing from social media. I'm just on this Zen time for myself. And so I said, totally fine. We made the call 2 or 3 months out. So when I got on the call with her today, because I meet a lot of people, I was like, now, how do we get connected? And so she reminded me. And then I said, oh, that is awesome. So I was asking her something about LinkedIn, and she was like, well, I don't even have LinkedIn. They revoked my account. So she's very passionate about the topics that she discussed. And so she thinks it was one of the things that where she was being silenced. And so, needless to say, she doesn't even have a LinkedIn account. They revoked it, suspended it, or whatever. She just doesn't have it anymore. So, would I have been able to talk to her? Because I talked to her months ago. But when I talked to her months ago, we made a plan to have a Zoom call. And as a result of that outside of the platform, we're able to maintain our relationship. So following up is so important. You know, I also had someone follow up with me simply from a post. And now we are joint co authors of an international best selling book. And to take it a step further, the person that compiled that book for us, the other author who followed up, was able to be on the panel, join us in the collaboration, was a part of the second collaboration where they just released a book on July 7th, and they're international best-selling authors again. And the book is called My Two Cents on Self-Love. So I'm telling you, follow up is so important. And you can follow up with people with different ways. So, a couple of tips. One of the things is everybody tells everybody happy birthday, right? You can get the notification, turn your notifications on. Now, a lot of people are like, I'm sick of these notifications. I'm always getting a ding, or whatever. But the notifications prioritize for you what you want to be notified about. So for me, being notified about people's birthdays or anniversaries or promotions is a high vibration notification. Now, it's high vibration because people are so excited on those days, right? You don't have to raise people's energy when it's their birthday or when they are getting a promotion or it's their anniversary, right? You normally don't have to do that. So you're able to ride that wave of that high energy by simply reaching out to them on those days and acknowledging them for that. Now, everybody, if those people who do use their notifications, everybody's going to be having the same thing. Hey, happy birthday. And for some of these platforms, they have a thread where everybody just says happy birthday on their timeline, but you don't want to do that. You want to take the time to do something special, such as this. You don't have to even mail anything, but you can reach out to them and send them a personal message. You could sing happy birthday on an audio message. You can give them a birthday wish on an audio message. Pray that this year's everything that you want it to be, whatever. Okay. You could send them a video, right? You could do so many things that don't even have to cost anything, but the key is to send it to them directly because you will stand out while everybody else is saying happy birthday. I don't know about you guys, but my kids have friends that tell me happy birthday. My husband has friends that tell me happy birthday. I have friends, then I have family. So that timeline, it's just like it just keeps on getting longer and longer and longer. And it's hard to go back and respond to everybody. But if you get a personal message, you are able to take that time and interact with them, and then you could send them a message back, right? So that's one of the things about following up is turning your notifications on. Now, if you feel like it's dinging all the time, put your phone down, right? And look at it certain times a day. So if you're like, okay, I'm going to check all my notifications in the morning, and then I'm going to check them at night before I go to bed or whatever, or lunchtime, you can set the boundary for that. But if you get the notifications, that's going to help you prioritize the things that are going to be important for nurturing your audience and getting the results that you want to get. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. And you guys are more than welcome to put questions in the comments. I am trying to stay focused. I cannot believe I was supposed to be on here for like, oh, I thought maybe 10 minutes or so. But these stories that come up, it's like, I got to tell the whole story. But anyway, if you have any questions about follow up, what I do, or anything like that, just put it in the comments and I'll get back to you. So I wanted to say that's also good with changing your mindset is the key of following up. All right. So I think that is pretty much all that I had. I want to go over a couple of announcements because I did say that there's going to be some things going on. So the first thing is Christmas in July. So I did this first for the first time last year on July 25th. We had a meet and greet, people that were power partners with me, and it was a great time. We hosted this event where we shared insights and topics and strategies for the holidays. So we did gift giving ideas on the affordable side. We talked about meditation, how we can relax. We played games and had just fun on the Zoom. So that is going to be happening again this year, Christmas in July. So I will put the link in the comments for that event. So that's July 25th is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's for a couple of hours. So it's a way to get you prepped and excited and empowered about the holiday, because we're not probably going to be shopping and decorating, even though my kids really helped me. I had decorations up from July until Christmas. And so it was really fun. We started watching Christmas movies, all this buzz around it. So even now my kids are like, Mom, it's July, Christmas in July. They're teasing me about it. But yeah, we're going to do it again. The next thing is I'm going to be on Soul Man with Aaron Gibson on Friday. So he has a great show where he gets deep down to people's stories of overcoming hard obstacles and things like that. So that's going to be this Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So join us. It's going to be on LinkedIn. I'm not sure if he has it on other platforms or not, but you can follow him. So go follow him on LinkedIn, and you can scroll through his profile and see where his other shows have been. So that's a good tip for you. Then on Friday, I'm starting a new series through my business page. And this right now is streaming through my business page. So if I only have 1 or 2 viewers, hey, I appreciate y'all. Business page doesn't have as much traction as your do the business page on Facebook. I cannot get the traction because I think I only have like maybe 200 followers or something. So it's the same thing on LinkedIn. I have 200 followers on my business page, and then I've got like 7,000 on my personal page. So we're trying to flip that around. So I'm doing this over the summer, doing a little housekeeping, spring cleaning, whatever you want to call it. So the fall, I'm going to be really hitting the pavement underneath the business page. And it's going to give me that opportunity to be prepared for the intensity of the end of the year with less stress, right? I'm not going to try to be in 2 places at the same time. I'm transitioning now while it's over the summer. And so people are going to be none the wiser. Then, I'll be all set for the fall. So this series is called Week End Strategy. So the concept is that it's the end of the week. So it's the week end strategy. So it's like, how was your week? What are some things that went well? What are some things you can change? So I have a guest, and my first guest is Brian Smart, and he is a content strategist. So he has his own rooms on LinkedIn. He also does master classes. And so we're going to be talking about parenthood and entrepreneurship. And so we've had several conversations, lots of fun. So I'm looking forward to connecting with him on Friday. And that's going to be at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you got to love it. You hear my husband in the background. Um, so that's 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on LinkedIn on my business page, America's Supermom Company. It's going to be an audio room. And so it's the weekend strategy. So that's the rationale behind that. And I think that is it. If you want to be a guest on the panel that I have, Bold Voices. Oh, this is another thing. August 1st, we're going to have a Bold Voices audio room. So we do our videos regularly on LinkedIn on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. But August 1st, we're going to have an audio room. So my power partners, Misty Lee of Campground TBD Publishing, she's the mastermind behind all these books that are getting to be international bestsellers. I mean, I'm in awe of what she does because she has different authors and groups of authors, and they're international best-selling books. I mean, it's just the way she's getting these out. It's just amazing. So she's a power partner, and Rochelle Harlington. Rochelle Harlington also has a podcast. She has her own method and blueprint for coaching. So those are my two power partners, and we have created this partnership around season 2 of my TV series, Real Life Without Excuses. And so for them, we our power partnership is kind of coming to a close. And so we are exploring different things that we could do to continue to build each other's platforms and brands before that partnership expires. So we're going to be doing an audio room August 1st, the normal time that we do the Bold Voices, but it's going to be audio on LinkedIn. And I'm looking for 5 guests. I don't know how I could forget this. I want to give a shout out to Zandra Evans. She was recognized here recently about what she is doing as a trailblazer, not only just as a woman, but just as a trailblazer in the media by having her own network and how she's streaming and distributing this wonderful network on all these different places. So it's amazing what she's accomplishing. And if you want to be a part of that growth, if you look at her profile, she's always got something going on, whether she's on someone's podcast or she's in an article or she's at an event or she's being recognized with awards. This is somebody that you want to connect to when it comes to media. So if you want to be a guest on season 3 with me to be connected to this community, then reach out to me because I'm looking for 5 guests. I'm going to be filming in September in Dallas, Texas. If you can't make it in person, that's okay. We do also offer a virtual component. So connect with me. If you want to make your brand bigger and more exciting and reach more people with less work and more collaboration, then that is an option that you might want to consider. So I do have another meeting, and I want to thank you guys so much for watching today. I'm going to work on getting those links to you. And again, Mary, I'm sending you a virtual hug and so much gratitude for you brightening up my day. You know, it's just something when people send you what you love, right? You know, it's like the kid who plays with the cardboard box. You're over here spending all this money on certain things, and they're playing with the box, right? And you're like, what? I could have just got that from, Walmart or something, before they started breaking the boxes down. But the point is, I love when people send me things that I am going to use immediately and love. So thank you so much for this, Mary. And thank you for watching. If you're watching the replay, reach out if you want to be and have an amazing rest of your week. And I will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.